This is the book of Proverbs chapter 22. I'll start at verse 7. The point is verse 7, and it reads, The rich ruleth over the poor. Rich ruleth the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. I want to start off beginning. All praise, all honor, and all glory to God. Loyam, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh B'Katam. I'm going to say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. I say peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, not more so than ever. I say shalom to the Akim and the Aqua, thought they're listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations who subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. It's your brother Yahweh Sab out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh Shah. This lesson is in regards to pretty much I've been seeing these different articles popping up, and they all came back to back, like wait, all today. When the Spirit led me to say maybe this is a video topic, another video popped up about taxation, and just showing you how 2024 is going to be a year. This very well could be the year of Jacob Trouble, the hopeful year, as the beloved elder apostle, Tahar coined it, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, because you got things pretty much already stressed out, and these devils are about to pretty much stress things out even more. And when you do that, pressure busts pipes. It's a saying that I heard in the world from actually my brother. You know what I mean? Who's worldly, but nonetheless, it's an old saying because it's the truth. I was watching something on YouTube today, and they was putting these rubber bands around a watermelon. And the whole concept was to keep on putting rubber bands around the watermelon till the watermelon pop. So they put a whole bunch around it. It might have been 100. Who's to say how many? But it was like a little game to them. But the point is, and the thing was, when they put the one that made it pop, it didn't pop immediately. So the one Jake, because it was a group of Jakes, he taking pictures like, oh yeah, taking selfies and whatnot. So it's made me think of Second Thessalonians, because Second Thessalonians says, "In peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall basically come upon you," roughly paraphrased. And that's how it was. Like they had did it so many times and it wasn't popping. So he like, the watermelon looked like it was about to burst. It was opening a little bit, but it ain't bust. So he wanted to take pictures of it, and they smiling and laughing. And then when he went to put the phone down, that's when it popped, because there was so much tension on that watermelon because all them rubber bands. So point being, with these added taxes, everybody's already struggling. Yeah, people, you think you're seeing shit now, you ain't seen nothing yet. So it made me think of, again, a few different scriptures. I'm probably not going to read the articles like that. Bring out some basic information, which we should all know. But nonetheless, some things we don't know, so don't feel ashamed. But going to the definition of, where I looked up a Google search of what is the purpose of being taxed by the government. And it says, taxes provide revenue for federal, local, and state governments to fund essential services, defense, highways, police, a justice system that benefit all citizens who could not provide such services very effectively for themselves. Which is truth to that, but it's not. Because when you go into, the taxes, they was just talking about, what was that last year? It was a certain amount of billions of dollars that just came up, or was it trillions? Can't remember the exact number, but nonetheless, just all this money that came from taxpayers that just pretty much came up missing. So what did that fund? That's probably the money they're going to use to fund the infrastructure for this beast system, though. Who can ever tell? It says, what is the purpose of government taxation? Governments typically use tax revenue to fund public services that accelerate economic and social development. And if the economy is booming, pretty much the nation is thriving. It's if your economy or the nation's economy is not functioning correctly, that's when a nation fails. You can look at the scriptures and see that with the nation of Egypt. Um, You can look at the ancient Roman Empire. And I really, through the Spirit, came up with this because it made me think of ancient Rome. That was pretty much the reason why that fell. And showing you how the scriptures talk about in the book of Romans, Salaki, book of Revelations, about the beast with the deadly wound was healed. I believe that's Revelation chapter 13. Because America is pretty much the Roman Empire revised, 2.0 version of it. If you got the eyes to receive it. So, Lucky, this is a quick Google search, and it says, because one of our brothers, one of the heads, went into this. It was pretty much the money had failed, and then other things came along with that. But again, you gotta look at it like a currency is like a current. When you go into electrical and electricity and whatnot, a currency it was flows through the system. That what charges the battery and whatnot. So if the currency is not fluent in a nation, that's when that nation basically succumbs and falls. It says, along with other factors, this led to hyperinflation, which America's seeing right now. There's no new thing under the sun. A fractured economy, localization of trade, heavy taxes, and that's the spirit. Because now, again, modern day Rome, Babylon the Great, aka America, is about to heavily tax the citizens. A financial crisis that crippled Rome. Many of the issues that led to Rome's decline were due to government and economic corruption. Rome's economy was based on slave labor, which we are currently slaves. Just most people don't understand that. But if you have a social security number, you're a slave, you're a debt slave. You can rack up debt, and if you don't pay that debt off, that debt's going to follow you wherever you go. Because of this whole Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve Note, FRN, But got one last thing. Then I'm gonna go into either an article or a scripture. So this was I looked it up, another search, and it I think it was talking about I looked up something in regards to ancient Jerusalem or the ancient Israelites being pretty much taxed by the Romans. And it reads, this is by a guy named Eric Stoltz, which is a Catholic. I didn't even see that before. Catholic deacon and the author of the book of Sin. So it says, yes, as a conquered and occupied people, which pretty much once you come to this system, because you got people over here that wasn't conquered. You had some people that was able to come over here based on their own reconnaissance. They chose to come, if that's the correct word. But you had also people that were conquered and pretty much enslaved, from the northern tribes, so-called Gadites and Reubenites, to you southern tribes, so-called Jamaicans, you Benjamites, you so-called blacks, you Judites, the North Atlantic slave trade basically pretty much was based on y'all, But it says, yes, as a conquered and occupied people, the Israelite subject to a heavy tax burden by Rome. I forgot what's the term used, but they were in I got to think of the word. It's a word, but basically they were vassal states. Like they was a vassal to Rome. Think about it. Else would Rome subject a people accept to collect taxes from them? And when you go into certain individuals, like in the book of Matthew, Matthew was a tax collector, which was a despised job because they used Israelites to collect taxes from their own people. Now, I believe Matthew was considered wealthy as opposed to the average Israelite, and then you had those that were, part of the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and Sadducees that were considered pretty much royalty. That's why they didn't want to really bow down to Yahweh Shah, who you ignorantly called Jesus Christ, because they were in league with Rome to a degree. And you got these same things going on today. It's not a coincidence that you got the situation going on with Cat Williams exposing these gatekeepers. You know, he named names and shit. You know, from Kevin Hart to Steve Harvey to Ricky Smiley. You know, these different individuals that have a stake or investment in Esau's system. You know, Shaquille O'Neal. Look at this nigga. He creating restaurant after restaurant. You know what I mean? Which he's a Freemason. You know, I remember him showing off his ring on ESPN. The Roman Empire was an economic structure. All the people of the Roman Empire were subject to taxation. So it wasn't just Israel, but I'm pretty sure the Israelites were taxed more. There was no reason the Israelites would have been exempted. In addition to collecting the usual taxes throughout the empire, the Romans also appropriated temple taxes paid by the Israelites to support the Holy Jerusalem. So they basically that's what the point of the census was. They numbered everybody so they could know how much money they was going to tax everybody for, which is all in the scriptures. Some historians say the impoverishment people under the Roman rule, which led to landowners, tenant farmers, and thus unable to pay the exorbitant taxes levied against them, led to a revolt against Rome that resulted in the destruction of the temple by the Romans the year 70. So that's 70 AD. So that's when they basically came and sacked the temple. You know, because basically that's when, you know, you had the Israelites pretty much revolt. You know, you had this, you know, the Sicarii and all those. You know, you had the Dagger Men. You know, you had a rebellion because pretty much, you know, they were being overtaxed to the point where they couldn't sustain themselves, and people, you know, pretty much, you know, pressure bust pipes again, and that's the same scenario that's about to take place again. You know, there scriptures talk about in the book of Ecclesiastes. There's no new thing under the sun. So we're about to witness this. You know, we get this in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1, and it reads, "This know also in the last days perilous times shall come." So we're gonna go into that word perilous. And when you go to that word perilous,
Strong's G 5467. Chalipas. Chalipas.
It's halipas, and it means hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. Salakia. Harsh, fierce, savage. So the word perilous goes into dangerous. It's gonna be savage because it's gonna be violence in the streets. You know what I mean? You read enough of the scriptures, you'll realize, you know, the book of 2nd Ezra 15, 16, it's going to be violence in the earth, you know. But it also goes into hard, you know, it's going to be hard to do, hard to approach, hard to bear. You know, it's going to be troublesome. So it's going to be hard to survive. You know, they were just talking about how the guy, John Williams, is going into basically how the government trying to pretty much like destroy the gig app jobs because of the fact they about to make it where it's going to appear like they looking out for the gig workers by making them not like contractors. What's that, 1099? You know, because pretty much when you do those gig jobs, you are pretty much a contractor. But they're trying to make it where you pretty much are employed by the company, which at times like this, when we're pretty much going into depression, you know, which they're saying is going to be worse than 1929. These companies are all trying to pretty much, you know, downsize and stay afloat. So, you know, we coming into an age of AI, you know, the fourth industrial revolution. They got technology, you know, Amazon show you that. You know, you got a lot of companies laying off right now. So pretty much what are they be forced to do? You know, you got companies like, I remember Domino's. Domino's got an automated delivery driver. They don't need to pay a actual individual, a human being. And it's funny because in California, you got a lot of Pizza Huts laying people off because they wanted to raise the minimum wage to $20. So see how the devil work? He presenting it in a way where it's looking like it's benefiting you, but in actuality, he already know the result is going to, you know, cause. It's going to trigger these companies because, again, if you barely maintain and survive and paying your rent, you know, feeding your family, What do you think these companies? I mean, because the more people, the less spending, the more profit. I mean, Salakia, the less spending, the less profit. And if a company's not profiting, a company cannot sustain itself. What else? It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 25. Now, like I said, you got it in the scriptures where taxes is supposed to be set up to, because brother always brings that out. One of the head brothers brings that out about when the government taxes you, you're supposed to literally get benefits from that. And that's what they say that they, which they do to a degree. That's why you have, a lot of jakes get sustained from, government taxing because of welfare. That's where you get your welfare from. But in certain times, like times of war, all that, certain things are cut out. You know what I mean? So, you got to remember the government's biggest budget, especially Babylon the Great, aka America's, is the military. The most money, the most tax money goes to the military. This book of Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 35, and it reads, "And if thy brother be waxing poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, a traveler, that he may live with thee." So, you had back in the ancient times, you had, when you go into the book of Ruth, and what was his name? I can't think of his name at the moment, Salakia, but the one that she ended up marrying, the kinsman's redeemer, though, pretty much he married her, but basically he used to work on her. She used to work on his field. She was married to, I believe her mother's name was Naomi. She was married to Naomi's sons, if I'm not mistaken. Well, she's married to one of his sons. Both sons died. One of the other son's widow went back to her land, but Ruth was determined to stay with the mother-in-law. So, being that the mother was destitute because of the fact her husband was gone, her sons was gone, she pretty much had to fend for herself. But the daughter-in-law felt loyalty to her, so she went with her. And it was certain customs set up, for Israel because, it's always like a welfare system for the people. So pretty much it was set up where they could pick the fruit off the field to feed themselves. And I remember the elder Amawan Gabar going into that because he was talking about how you got all these migrants came up here looking for opportunity, but really they running back because they're not used to this harsh ass weather. They're not used to a lot of things. So I remember brother speaking on this. This could either be for your salvation or your destruction. Because if the Lord, like the Lord could have kept you away from this. Like, you got to remember, we in the belly of the beast. All you so-called niggas that's thinking that y'all really the Lord dealing with y'all. Like, we gonna see we live in the cities. When the shit go down, this is gonna be the areas of those that live in the cities gonna have to fend for themselves extra tough. It's gonna be more violent there. But Salakia for the digression. Point being, it was always a welfare system. And America has one to a degree, but eventually that's going to be demolished because the whole system is set up to put you in servitude. And when you go into the book of Genesis chapter 47, it shows you that, you know what I mean? Like when Joseph pretty much was, I forgot what his title was, but pretty much he was in the second highest position up under the Pharaoh, and he had the people put themselves in servitude because it was such a famine. So when shit is so crazy out here and people so destitute, it creates a scenario for people. When people lose everything, they lose it. So they're gonna be willing to do things they normally wouldn't do. You know what I mean? What's that video with that commercial, the Snickers commercial? You're not yourself when you're hungry. You'll agree to some shit you'll never agree to when you're hungry. That's why certain women deal with certain men, because they feel that without dealing with that man, they'll literally be fucked up out here. wouldn't be able to survive. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 17. This is Matthew 17 and verse 24, and it reads, And when they were come to Capernaum, Slovakia, and when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Dost your master pay tribute? So when you go into this, pretty much this, when they got to Capernaum, pretty much they were taxing. So they basically went on to Peter and asked, well, pretty much is your master who was Yahweh Shah, he's not gonna pay tribute, he's not gonna pay his tax. Verse 25, he saith yes. And when he was come into the house, Yahweh Shah prevented him, saying, What thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Verse 26, Peter saith to him, Of strangers. Yahweh Shah saith unto him, Then are the children free? Verse 27, notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea. Basically, Yahweh Shah was saying they couldn't really tax him. But he said, notwithstanding, lest we should offend them. But basically, the scripture's going into, like I believe in the book of Romans chapter 13, it talks about pay tribute onto them. To pay tribute, you're supposed to pay tribute onto. Just like it's another scripture talking about render unto Caesar what Caesar's. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast a hook and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money that take and give unto them for me and thee. So Yahweh Shah paid his tax. Because again, scriptures talk about live peaceably with all men. Our duty in his ministry is to follow the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Shah. But we also are in subjection to these devils, the so-called red Hebrew Edomite, or this red Hebrew Edomite, the so-called white man, Salakia. And we are to, pretty much, be a subjection to him. It tells you that in the book of Romans chapter 13 again. Matter of fact, let me get it. It's pretty much when this devil's laws contradict the laws of our power, is when we must actually stand bold and up against, this devil. This is the book of Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. The scriptures talk about in the book of Daniel that the Most High pretty much set up one and take up down another. So those that are in rulership is in rulership based on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So just going to show something real quick. It says IRS will enforce 1099K reporting of Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal transactions. Now, they was telling you this last year. And, I got a personal tax accountant. So he pretty much told me, it doesn't affect you unless you own a business. But, you can never trust the devil. The scriptures talk about never trust thine enemy. They used to say initially slated for 2022. Here we go. Initially slated for 2022, this rule mandates reporting earnings over 600 to the IRS. However, reporting will apply only to income exceeding 5,000 for the upcoming year. According to CNET, the IRS aims to streamline income reporting to ensure more accurate financial disclosures from freelancers and business owners. So they're saying it's really for those that's making money. Because they want to tax everything because that's showing you the state of the economy. But what if you just sent, like, people pay rent off of Cash App. I remember the property I live in, I was paying my rent off of Cash App, and the owner, he got a property management company. They was like, they not even dealing with it no more. And it was convenient. They're not even dealing with it no more because I guess it affected him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, never trust thine enemy. I got another one. This is the guy, John Williams, that I was speaking about. And it reads, California will no longer let you leave. Insane new wealth tax. So they about to start taxing those that are in a certain income bracket. So yeah, I mean, when times get hard, how do you think the government sustains itself? It taxes. And like I said, no new thing under the sun. History evolves, or Salaki, history repeats itself. That's what ancient Rome did right before its fall. So just gonna come out with scriptures now. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 15. Then the Pharisees, we'll start up. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, we know, hold on, I ain't reading the right part. So lucky. Okay, here we go. Because again, the tribute's going into the taxation. And it says, no, matter of fact, I can read. Verse 16, and they set out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true and teachest the way of the Most High in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? So is it lawful to pay the tribute? Now this is showing you how scandalous and wicked our people were, because this was Yahushua own people. The Pharisees, and pretty much was trying to catch him up to put him at fault, so he could be judged by the Romans. But Yahushua, when you really take time to think about it, was really, really cold. Light steps ahead of the devil. And 2/3 of our people are the devil as well. You know what I mean? It says, therefore, it's like it tell us, therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But Yahushua perceived their wickedness, so he could see what they was about to do, and said, why temper ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. So he said, show me the tax. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, whose is this image and superscription? Verse 21, they say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto the Most High the things that are the Most High's. So that's going back to my point about, scriptures talk about being subject to payments. In this scripture talk about pretty much having a bag with holes in it, trying to save in this society. You're not, and it's gonna get even worse in this year, because you always paying something. It's a tax on everything when you think about it. You get taxed for just buying something. When you really take time, you get taxed on everything. Shit. Right now, the Lord blessing, I got some kind of income coming in, but I ain't working, But unemployment want to tax you. That's your fucking money. So, but, we in a system, we already understand how the system's set up. So, you're supposed to be living according to the will of the Most High. And the scripture said, pretty much be in subjection, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the Spirit of the Lord that's going to have those rebel. Again, we supposed to be pretty much, chanting this place down spiritually. We ain't on what, America, Babylon the Great has enough of his own problems. Brothers that truly believe, we not on no plot and planning, like trying to strategically, militarily, like brothers know, scripture talk about pulling down the strongholds. It's mighty. When we go week in, week out, we're watching this place fall. The things that we're speaking are actually manifested in before our eyes. That's in the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 9. The end shall manifest. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Because again, these, taxes is basically law. And, when you go into, I forgot where I learned it from, but, when you really go research certain things, back in the day, the individual or every individual citizen wasn't getting taxed. It was supposed to be the companies, the businesses that's supposed to got taxed. But because of the fact that it's so much, just imagine as many people as in America and you tax it every individual. That's why they say that when you first born, you pretty much in debt already. You know what I mean? Because they already looking to tax you some kind of way. Says Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And these taxes is grievous. And they're going to get even worse. Like I said, again, they about to start taxing all these little apps. So your little side hustles, you know what I mean? You know, you at one point in time, you can go ahead and, you know, drop a person off for some, you know, they might want to give you $10. Go ahead and drop me off for $10. Take me up here. May take you 20 minutes or something. Maybe take you 10 minutes. But now the government they want a piece of all that. Verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment, to take away the right from the poor of my people. Who is the poor of the Most High's people? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. You Israelites. That widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And, you know, who is the widow? Who has the most widows? You know, if the so-called black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, if you Israelite women ain't the poster child for a woman without a husband in the household, then who is? Who is the fatherless? If you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians aren't, you know, the face of a man not being in the household, who is? So this is going to affect, you know, again, these women more than anybody. You know, literally, I just was speaking out loud, you know, because the situation happened, and you know, this female that I know through my, you know, my I call her my Eve/demon, you know, pretty much was reaching out to me just now, talk about, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You knew what to do all these months before. Now you know you don't know what to do. You know, and that's the thing, you know, again, you women thinking that this shit gonna be just continuously going like this when it's clearly in your face, it's not gonna be like this. You know, you got shit going on where they're robbing little old ladies and shit. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse. We'll start at verse 4. And my eyes should not. We'll start up. Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 3. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And my eyes shall not spare thee, neither will I pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Verse 5, the point. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, power and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. And end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. Behold, it is come. You know, evil is a compound word. Eve, time, ill, bad. So, Salakia, bad times is approaching. Because these people don't want to take heed. Verse 25, destruction coming from they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. You know, I could have read up. That's the spirit, because I was just listening to the one elder brother from I can never remember where that elder from, but it's his page is precept upon precept. And long story short, you know, this is going into like just everything's gonna be polluted and fucked up, you know, and we seeing these things pretty much coming and taking place now. You know, James chapter 5 talks about, you know, your gold is corrupted. You know, this money is failing. You know, so if you trusted in the system, which, you know, the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 talks about cursed be the man that trusteth in man. Well then, you know, Isaiah chapter 30 and 31 talks about woe to him that go down to Egypt for help. That's going to lead to your destruction. This is the book of Philippians chapter 4. Point is verse 19. But the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, shall supply all your needs according to his riches and the glory by Mashiach Yahushua. So it's going to get to the point, you know what I mean? It's going to get so bad out here because, again, this money's going to fail. It was created to fail. Every fiat currency that's ever been in existence has failed. Because it's actually like a a mechanism or a tool to actually like maneuver the system. America wasn't created to be the petrodollar for a reason. It was created due to prophecy, because once this dollar crashes, it's going to even affect the BRICS nations to a degree. That's why they created their own currency. They see what's on the wall. So ultimately, you need to detach from all this. You cannot trust. And if you got a piece of silver, you got an extra can of beans, because that's all well and good. That's using wisdom, but at the same time, you can't trust in that. You only can trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, because that's who's going to supply your every need. The scriptures talk about if you be right with the Most High, He'll have His enemies feed you, roughly paraphrased. So if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole, Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, B'Shem Rachakadosh V'Katam. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua, thought they're listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till the next time I'm able to come through with another lesson, shalom, shalom, and Kwam Yasharallah.